crisscrossing the country, counting down the top 13 scariest places in America. From a sinister ship in Southern California to the most terrifying town on the eastern seaboard. Chronicling their bone-chilling origins, hearing firsthand from the people who felt the terror, and inviting you to visit them for yourself.
If you're still in here, you want to make a noise in the corner again?
Whether you live in a big city or a small town, no matter where you go in America, you're likely to hear terrifying tales of houses, hotels, insane asylums, and even prisons with horrifying histories of murder, suicide, and paranormal activity, and are said to be home to everything from ghosts to demons to spirits you couldn't imagine in your worst nightmares.
We have just so much history here when it comes to paranormal, and so many dark things that have happened.
But what truly are the scariest places America has to offer? If you're looking for somewhere to start, we've assembled a list of 13 legendary locations from all across the country. Each of them guaranteed to send a chill down your spine. We'll start our journey in the quaint New England hamlet of Fall River, Massachusetts. First-time visitors to the town are often struck by its beautiful scenery and historic architecture. But beyond landmarks and potential photo ops, the town's dark past, and the legend of one allegedly murderous young woman, linger in the shadows. Kicking off our countdown at number 13 is the infamous Lizzie Borden house.
The Lizzie Borden house is actually one of the most infamous stories out there in history in regards to hauntings, paranormal activity.
It's supposed to be one of the most haunted homes in New England. I've known about Lizzie Borden and the saga for many years. It started off with the whole jump rope song. Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. So I've always been intrigued by the case.
On August 4th, 1892, a scream pierced the air at the Borden home, where 70-year-old Andrew Borden lived with his second wife, 64-year-old Abby, and his two adult daughters, 41-year-old Emma and 32-year-old Lizzie.
On August 4th, Lizzie actually calls to her neighbor from the side of the house and says, "Come quick, something has happened in the house."
Inside the Borden house, the neighbor finds a scene of unspeakable horror.
The father was attacked while he was sleeping on the sofa. He received 10 to 11 blows to the side of his face. His eyeball falls out, lands on his cheek, removing his nose, making him unrecognizable.
Next to the master bed, neighbors found the body of Andrew's wife, Abby, hacked to pieces.
The first blow she received was to the side of the face, completely peeling it back. She turns around to try to get away, but she goes down for another 18 more blows.
It was heinous, and it was right in the middle of the day on a very busy street. These two people were murdered. Nobody saw anything, no one heard anything, and only Lizzie was home and Bridget, the maid.
Rumors immediately began to circulate that there was tension between Lizzie and her stepmother, Abby, over Lizzie's father's considerable wealth. And all eyes turned to Lizzie as the suspect.
Can a woman, a socialite, an avid churchgoer, commit such a brutal crime? I don't know. If there was enough blood coursing through her veins, maybe. She gets hauled off to jail, and she's held there for 10 months.
As Lizzie awaited trial, the town was abuzz with theories as to why Lizzie might have committed the murders.
Tons of evidence points that she did it. It's also the theories that surround it. Okay, did she really do it? If she didn't, who did? There is a theory that her and the maid were in a romantic kiss, and they were caught by Abby Borden, her stepmother, and she didn't react the way she wanted her to react, and so she murdered her.
It's amid all this speculation that Lizzie found herself on trial for the two murders.
It was most certainly not a jury of her peers. They were all white men. So that may have worked out to Lizzie's advantage, because how could a woman of her social status and upbringing do such a heinous crime? It's held for 13 days, and it takes the jury less than 10 minutes to come back with a non-guilty verdict.
She's acquitted. Then she receives her inheritance. She buys a property. She called it Maplecroft. She was shunned by her community. And so lived well, but not accepted socially. And I know she passed of pneumonia at the age of 66.
But even years before Lizzie's passing, locals believed the spirits of her father and stepmother were still inhabiting the house where they met their demise.
Lizzie's father and stepmother were brutally murdered. And so that would certainly leave that house, that property, in prime position for a very angry haunting.
It's that reputation that has allowed the Lizzie Borden story to remain a touchstone of American horror history for more than a century. Spawning both a successful movie and TV series starring Christina Ricci as Lizzie. And since 1995, the Lizzie Borden house has been a fully operational bed and breakfast. One that doesn't shy away from its infamous past.
There's a lot of paranormal activity. And when people stay overnight, well, sometimes I find them in the parking lot sleeping in their car. I've had people can't make it through the whole tour. They're just too frightened. One day I was in the Bridget Sullivan room, and there are 3 pictures on the floor leaning up against a trunk. Well, one day I had 2 women I was giving a tour to, and for some reason, the picture in the center went from this angle, flipped over, and shot across the room. My hairs stood up on my arms, and the 2 women that I was giving a tour to started screaming and ran out the door.
The story itself is so haunting. You go into that room, that infamous picture of the couch, and you know, you're in that room and you're looking right, it's like, this happened right here.
If the Lizzie Borden house gives you the creeps, how about an entire lake full of unexplained deaths and evil encounters?
There are those that believe that if you desecrate a grave, that spirit will come back and haunt you, and that becomes a curse.
The police said it's almost impossible to find bodies.
To visit the 12 scariest places in America, you'll need to make the trip down to North Georgia, to a lake that's recently become one of the deadliest locales in the country, and is the setting of a soon-to-be-released horror series. It's Lake Lanier, a man-made reservoir created in the 50s and designed to supply water to the city of Atlanta. But in the past 6 decades, the lake has also supplied the area with a series of bizarre deaths and paranormal sightings.
Lake Lanier is in northern Georgia. It's a beautiful lake. It's massive. You can go there for the day, renting boats and jet skiing and whatever you want. It's a very active lake.
I don't think it was always like a paranormal hotspot, but recently people have started to figure out that something's not quite right at Lake Lanier.